Welcome to our channel, the place where knowledge meets curiosity. Here, we dive deep into the wonders of history, science, culture, and mysteries that shape our world. Every video is designed to open your mind and spark your imagination. So sit back, relax, and let's begin this incredible journey together. Now we explain Pandora's box, the origin of human suffering. Part 1. The Divine Creation, the Birth of Pandora and the Deception of Mankind. In the vast expanse of Greek mythology, few stories have echoed through time with as much resonance as the myth of Pandora's box. It stands as one of the foundational tales that sought to explain the origin of human suffering, a narrative both symbolic and moralistic, intertwining divine punishment, human curiosity, and the fragile hope that endures even amidst despair. Like all great myths, it is more than a story. It is a mirror reflecting the human condition. To fully grasp its depth, we must return to the dawn of humanity, to a world newly shaped by gods, where the line between divine justice and vengeance blurred into mythic poetry. The world before Pandora. In the beginning, according to Hesiod's Theogony and Works and Days, the world was a place of harmony and simplicity. The mortals who roamed the earth were free from pain, illness, and the slow decay of age. They lived in the Golden Age, a time when men neither toiled for sustenance nor feared death. The gods of Olympus, presiding over this tranquil world, maintained order through divine hierarchy. Yet this serenity would not last forever. Within this seemingly perfect creation brewed tension, particularly between Zeus, the omnipotent king of the gods, and Prometheus, the titan whose wisdom and compassion for mankind would alter the fate of all creation. Prometheus, whose name means forethought, was a being of immense intelligence and cunning. Unlike his brother Epimetheus, afterthought, Prometheus foresaw the consequences of divine actions and often challenged the authority of Zeus when he perceived injustice. His greatest act of defiance came when he stole fire from the heavens, a sacred symbol of divine power and knowledge, and bestowed it upon humankind. This gift was no small matter. Fire represented enlightenment, civilization, and technological advancement. With it, mortals learned to cook food, forge weapons, and illuminate the darkness. It marked the birth of progress, but also the beginning of rebellion against divine control. Zeus's wrath at this transgression was boundless. He viewed Prometheus's theft not as an act of compassion, but as an affront to divine supremacy. Fire was the essence of Olympus, a gift reserved for gods alone, and by giving it to mankind, Prometheus had bridged a divide that Zeus intended to keep eternal. To Zeus, humanity's newfound power represented arrogance. They had become self-reliant, daring to live without fear of the divine. Thus, Zeus resolved to punish not only Prometheus, but the entire human race. Yet his vengeance would come not through destruction or war, it would come through a gift, a beautiful, deceiving creation crafted by the very gods who had once blessed mankind. The conception of Pandora, Zeus's cunning plan. To execute his plan of subtle vengeance, Zeus turned to Hephaestus, the divine blacksmith and god of craftsmanship. From the moist clay of the earth, Hephaestus shaped the form of a woman, the first of her kind. She was sculpted with perfection, her limbs graceful, her face radiant, her eyes gleaming with divine charm. Yet beneath that beauty lay the seeds of chaos. Zeus's intention was not merely to create a mortal woman, but to forge a vessel of deception, one who would carry within her both allure and ruin. Each god of Olympus contributed to this creation, bestowing upon her gifts that would define both her magnificence and her curse. Aphrodite, goddess of love, granted her irresistible beauty and charm. Hermes, the trickster messenger, gave her cunning speech and a deceptive tongue. Athena, goddess of wisdom and craftsmanship, adorned her with knowledge and skill in weaving. Apollo offered her grace and the art of music, and from Hera, she received a spirit of curiosity and pride. Every gift, though divine, carried a hidden peril. She would be intelligent yet naive, loving yet unpredictable, graceful yet capable of destruction. When the gods' work was complete, she stood before them not as a mere mortal, but as a masterpiece of divine irony, beauty cloaked in doom. Zeus gazed upon her with satisfaction. He named her Pandora, meaning all gifted, or the one who has received all gifts. To humanity, she would appear as a blessing, a divine being descended from the heavens, but to Zeus, she was the perfect instrument of retribution. The punishment, he decided, would be subtle, slow, and poetic. Humanity would fall not by thunder or flame, but by their own curiosity and desire. Prometheus and the acceptance of Pandora. Once Pandora was completed, Zeus presented her to Prometheus, the brother of Prometheus. Despite his name meaning afterthought, Prometheus was known for his kindness and generosity. Before Prometheus had been punished, he had warned his brother, never accept a gift from Zeus, for his favors often conceal harm. But Prometheus, enraptured by Pandora's beauty and divine grace, forgot his brother's warning. He accepted her as his wife, bringing her into the world of men. In that single act of trust and desire, the fate of humanity was sealed. Prometheus's acceptance of Pandora symbolized humanity's first fall, a surrender to beauty and temptation without foresight. Unlike Prometheus, who looked to the future, Prometheus lived in the moment. His decision echoed through ages as a metaphor for mankind's tendency to act first and reflect later. Pandora's arrival among men was celebrated at first. Her beauty brought joy, her voice enchanted all who heard it, and her wisdom seemed divine. Yet within her home lay an object of immense mystery, a container, variously described in ancient texts as a jar, pithos, or box, sealed tightly and forbidden to open.
The concept of a forbidden container is not unique to Greek mythology. Similar motifs appear in many ancient traditions: the fruit of knowledge in the Garden of Eden, the sealed chest of Egyptian myth, the mysterious urns of Mesopotamia. In all, the message is universal, that the pursuit of forbidden knowledge or the defiance of divine law brings both enlightenment and suffering. Pandora, like Eve, became the archetype of human curiosity, a curiosity that leads to both downfall and discovery. The nature of curiosity. Curiosity in Greek thought was a double-edged virtue. On one hand, it led to innovation, progress, and understanding. On the other, it defied divine order and invited punishment. Pandora's curiosity was not malicious, it was human, born from the same divine spark that Prometheus had given to mankind through fire. In her, the gods' gifts had created a paradox, a being capable of thought and emotion, but bound by rules she could not fully comprehend. Zeus's genius lay in this very paradox. He knew that to command a mortal not to do something was to plant the seed of temptation. By forbidding Pandora to open the box, he ensured that she eventually would. It was the perfect divine trap, one that relied not on force, but on nature itself. For what defines humanity more than curiosity? Thus, Pandora's story is not merely about disobedience, but about the inevitability of human nature. Her fate was written not by choice, but by design. The calm before the storm. In the days following her marriage to Prometheus, Pandora lived in blissful ignorance of her destiny. The world around her still shone with the light of the Golden Age, though faint shadows had begun to creep across the horizon. The fire Prometheus had gifted to mankind continued to burn brightly in the hearts of men, and civilization flourished in its warmth. Yet with every sunrise, Pandora's thoughts returned to the mysterious box resting in her chamber. It called to her in silence, as though it held not destruction, but truth. At night, she would sit before it, tracing the intricate carvings along its lid, symbols of gods and fates entwined. She wondered what could be so precious, so dangerous, that even the gods feared it to be opened. Was it a treasure meant for the worthy? A secret of the divine world? Or perhaps a blessing yet to be revealed? Each question deepened her longing. The warnings of Zeus grew faint in her memory, replaced by the gentle whisper of curiosity, a voice that all mortals know too well. Prometheus, unaware of her inner turmoil, often admired her beauty and grace, believing the gods had blessed him beyond measure. To him, Pandora was perfection made flesh. But even as he smiled, the first traces of destiny stirred unseen. The gods watched from Olympus, knowing the time was near. The world was poised on the brink of transformation, an age of innocence soon to end.
Symbolism of the divine gifts. To understand the gravity of what was about to unfold, one must see Pandora not merely as a woman, but as a symbol of duality. Each of her divine gifts carried a deeper meaning: love and deception from Aphrodite and Hermes, intelligence and pride from Athena and Hera, beauty and mortality from Hephaestus's clay. These were the forces that defined humanity itself: love and greed, wisdom and folly, creation and destruction. Pandora embodied the human paradox, capable of both greatness and ruin. She was, in essence, the first reflection of mankind's own heart. Her creation was an act of divine irony. The gods, in punishing mankind, had inadvertently created a being that mirrored them, beautiful yet flawed, powerful yet bound. In her, the divine and the mortal coexisted, and from her choices, a new era of humanity would begin. The story of Pandora is thus not one of blame, but of awakening, the birth of human experience through suffering, curiosity, and hope. Foreshadowing the fall. The myth tells us that fate cannot be escaped, only delayed. Every whisper of the wind that brushed against Pandora's home seemed to call her toward the box. Even the gentle flicker of Prometheus's fire cast shadows in the shape of temptation. The world awaited the inevitable, the moment when innocence would meet knowledge, when curiosity would break the seal of divine wrath. As the first woman, Pandora stood at the intersection of creation and destruction. Her every action carried the weight of humanity's future. Unbeknownst to her, within that sealed vessel lay not only the seeds of misery, but also the single light that would redeem mankind: hope. But hope, like all divine gifts, would come at a cost. And thus, the stage was set for the act that would change the world forever: the opening of the box. Part 2. The unsealing of fate, the release of evils, and the birth of human suffering. The world was silent before the storm. The divine fire that Prometheus had stolen still burned bright in the hearts of men, illuminating their villages and giving them warmth, food, and courage. Yet in that warmth lay the shadow of Zeus's vengeance, a retribution not by thunderbolts, but by temptation. The gods had given humanity their first woman, Pandora, beautiful beyond measure, yet burdened with a mystery she could neither resist nor understand. The sealed jar that rested within her home had become an unseen force, calling out to her heart, echoing in her dreams, and whispering in the quiet of dawn. Every day, Pandora found herself drawn to it. The box, or jar as ancient Greeks called it, the pithos, was no ordinary container. Its surface gleamed with divine craftsmanship. Golden patterns of serpents, doves, and celestial symbols ran along its body. Upon its lid were inscribed the runes of the Olympian gods, symbols of authority and warning. It radiated both beauty and danger, the very duality that defined Pandora herself. At first, she resisted. She tried to divert her attention with the duties of a mortal wife, weaving fine cloths, tending to the hearth, and listening to Prometheus as he spoke of the wonders of the world. Yet no matter how she occupied her mind, her thoughts returned again and again to that forbidden jar. It seemed to breathe when she passed by, to hum softly when she touched it. Pandora's curiosity grew like a flame, small at first, then consuming. It was not greed that stirred within her, nor rebellion, but a yearning to know what the gods had hidden from her. The whisper of curiosity. Curiosity is both a blessing and a curse. It drives discovery, invention, and knowledge, but it also leads to ruin when untempered by wisdom. For Pandora, this inner struggle became unbearable. The divine gifts of intelligence and desire clashed within her. The gods had made her perfect, but in their perfection, they had forgotten mercy. They had given her every quality that would lead to her downfall. The myth of Pandora is, in many ways, the story of humanity's awakening, the moment when innocence encounters the unknown. Hesiod's verses tell us that Pandora lifted the lid of the jar out of simple wonder. She did not intend to harm anyone. She was merely drawn by the mystery of the divine. But in that act, the destiny of humankind unraveled. One morning, as the sun rose in the east and golden light flooded their dwelling, Pandora approached the jar. Prometheus had gone to gather food. The silence around her was complete, no sound of wind or bird, only the faint heartbeat of curiosity pounding within her chest. She traced her fingers along the lid, feeling the ancient runes carved by the hands of Hephaestus. For a moment, she hesitated. The words of Zeus echoed faintly in her memory. "Do not open this, for it holds what no mortal should see." But then came another voice, gentle, persuasive, almost divine. It was not Zeus's command, but the whisper of her own mind, urging her, what if it is not a curse, but a gift? What if it holds the secrets of the gods, treasures meant for those who dare? And with that thought, Pandora's fate, and the fate of all humanity, was sealed.
The opening of the jar. With trembling hands, she lifted the lid. The sound that followed was not of joy, but of horror. A deep, echoing sigh that seemed to come from the depths of the earth. From the jar erupted a swirling cloud of darkness, thick and alive. It spun around the room, shrieking like a storm. Pandora stumbled backward, terrified, as shapes began to emerge from the smoke. Shadowy forms that took flight into the world beyond. They were the evils, the hidden afflictions that the gods had trapped within the jar. Each had a name, a face, and a purpose. Pain was the first to escape, spreading its unseen hand across the land. Men who had once known only health now groaned in sickness. Sorrow followed, and hearts that had once been filled with joy began to ache with grief and regret. Deceit crept into the minds of mortals, turning honesty into lies, and greed poisoned the spirit of generosity. Then came hunger, disease, envy, and death, each racing forth to claim dominion over the human world. Pandora screamed and tried to close the lid, but it was too late. The air was thick with despair. The light of the sun dimmed, and even the wind seemed to wail. The once perfect world of mankind, free from pain and suffering, was shattered in an instant. The golden age had ended. The world had entered an age of toil, loss, and imperfection. The transformation of the world. When the evils escaped, they spread across every corner of the earth. The forests that once echoed with laughter grew silent with fear. The rivers that had flowed clear became darkened by tears. Men who had once lived in unity began to quarrel and fight. The first wars were born, the first lies told, the first betrayals committed. Zeus watched from Olympus, his expression unreadable. To some, he appeared cruel, a god punishing mortals for the compassion of another. But to Zeus, this act restored balance. In his mind, the gift of fire had made mortals too powerful, too godlike. By releasing suffering, he reminded them of their place in the cosmic order, beneath the gods, fragile and dependent. The myth thus reveals a profound truth about Greek thought, that joy and sorrow, creation and destruction, are inseparable. Without suffering, there can be no compassion. Without struggle, no progress. Through the act of opening the box, Pandora unknowingly brought about the human condition itself, flawed, painful, yet capable of resilience and hope. Pandora's grief and awakening. When the last of the dark spirits had fled, Pandora fell to her knees, weeping. The jar lay open before her, now almost empty. The world outside was filled with echoes of misery, the cries of the sick, the moans of the hungry, the sobs of the grieving. She had unleashed chaos upon mankind, and her heart broke under the weight of guilt. Prometheus returned and found her trembling beside the jar. When she told him what had happened, he was struck with despair. At first, he cursed the gods and his own foolishness for accepting Zeus's gift. He even turned his anger upon Pandora, accusing her of destroying the world. But when he saw her tears, his anger softened. For in that moment, he realized she was not the architect of evil. She was its victim. She had acted not out of malice, but out of the same curiosity that drove all humankind. Prometheus embraced her, and together they wept for the world they had lost. Yet, amid the darkness, they heard a faint sound, a gentle fluttering from within the jar. Pandora turned, her eyes widening. Something was still inside.
The last gift, hope. Carefully, she lifted the lid once more. From the depths of the jar came a soft, radiant light, a being unlike the others. It was Elpis, the spirit of hope. She glowed with warmth and serenity, her wings shimmering like dawn. Pandora watched in awe as hope floated upward, her presence softening the heavy air. She did not flee like the others. Instead, she hovered close to Pandora's heart. In that moment, the myth takes a profound turn. For though the gods had cursed mankind with suffering, they had also granted one final gift, the power to endure. Hope became humanity's eternal companion, the unseen force that would inspire perseverance in the face of despair. It was as though Zeus, in his complex justice, had recognized that without hope, mankind would perish completely. The ancient poets often debated whether hope's presence in the jar was a blessing or another form of delusion. Some believed it was a cruel trick, that by keeping hope alive, the gods ensured humans would continue to struggle rather than give up. Others, however, saw hope as the greatest of all gifts, the one that made life bearable amidst pain. Hesiod himself leaves the interpretation open, allowing generations to ponder the paradox. The birth of mortality and the human spirit. From that day forward, the world changed irreversibly. Humans learned to build homes to protect themselves from storms, to grow crops to fight hunger, to create medicine to ease illness. They learned compassion through suffering, courage through fear, and wisdom through loss. Pain became the teacher of strength. Sorrow became the wellspring of love. The myth of Pandora thus marks the dawn of human civilization, not the fall of humanity, but its awakening. In the philosophical sense, Pandora's act symbolizes the transition from innocence to experience. Just as Prometheus's fire gave mankind intellect, Pandora's curiosity gave mankind emotion. Through her, humans became aware not only of pleasure, but also of pain, not only of life, but of mortality. The gods' punishment, intended to humiliate, instead shaped humanity's greatest virtues: resilience empathy, and hope.
In another sense, Pandora's story mirrors the myth of Eve in the book of Genesis. Both women are the first of their kind. Both defied divine command, and both are blamed for bringing suffering into the world. Yet both also bring the possibility of redemption, Eve through motherhood, Pandora through hope. These myths reflect the ancient world's understanding of femininity as both creative and destructive, nurturing yet dangerous. Pandora curiosity is not a flaw, but a reflection of divine humanity, the same spark that drives science, art, and philosophy.
Part 3. The Legacy of Pandora: Myth, Meaning, and the Human Condition. When the last echo of Pandora's cry faded into the silence of the mortal world, a new era had begun. An age defined not by divine perfection, but by human imperfection. The myth of Pandora did not end with the closing of the jar. It continued in every tear shed, in every prayer whispered, and in every act of hope that defied despair. Her story, more than a tale of punishment, became a profound reflection on what it means to be human. Through Pandora, the Greeks articulated one of the most powerful ideas in all mythology, that suffering is inseparable from consciousness, and hope is inseparable from survival. This final part of the essay explores how Pandora's myth evolved through philosophy, art, and culture, and how her story continues to illuminate the eternal questions of human existence. Why do we suffer? What is the nature of evil? And why, despite it all, do we still hope? The philosophical depth of the myth. Greek mythology was never merely entertainment. It was philosophy in poetic form, a way for the ancients to explain the mysteries of the cosmos and the complexities of the human spirit. In the story of Pandora, they found a mirror reflecting their understanding of divine justice, human frailty, and the paradox of existence. The myth embodies a tension between Prometheus and Zeus, between rebellion and authority, compassion and control. Prometheus represents the human striving for knowledge, for mastery over nature, for light. Zeus represents order, restraint, and the boundaries that define the cosmic balance. Pandora, placed between them, becomes the fulcrum of that struggle. She is neither entirely divine nor purely mortal. She is the bridge that connects both realms. Through her, humanity receives both the curse and the gift of self-awareness. To open Pandora's box, then, is to open the human soul. It is to confront the reality that within us lie both beauty and horror, creativity and destruction. The Greeks saw the myth not only as an explanation for the origin of evil, but as a meditation on choice. Pandora did not open the jar out of malice. She opened it because she could. Her act symbolizes the birth of free will, the moment when humanity stepped beyond divine command and entered the realm of moral responsibility. Thus, her story is not simply about the loss of paradise, but about the gaining of consciousness. In that sense, Pandora's box is not a punishment, but a passage, a symbolic initiation into the experience of being human. Pandora and the feminine principle. Throughout history, Pandora's name has often been shadowed by blame. Ancient poets, particularly Hesiod, depicted her as the Kalon Kaikon, the beautiful evil, the deceit wrapped in delight. To them, she was the origin of women, and therefore the source of male suffering. This reflects not only mythic symbolism, but also the patriarchal context of ancient Greece, where women were often portrayed as agents of temptation and disorder. Yet, beneath this surface lies a deeper layer of meaning.
Pandora, as the first woman, also represents creation itself. She is the vessel through which life enters the world, not only biological life, but emotional and spiritual life. In opening the jar, she releases not just evils, but the full spectrum of human emotion: love, jealousy, ambition, despair, and hope. She transforms a static, painless existence into a dynamic, living one. Modern interpretations see Pandora not as the destroyer of innocence, but as the awakener of humanity. She is comparable to the Earth Mother archetype found in countless cultures, a figure who brings both nourishment and chaos, growth and decay. Just as the soil must be broken for seeds to grow, so too must innocence be shattered for wisdom to emerge. In this reading, Pandora becomes a symbol of transformation, not transgression. Her curiosity is not sin, but sacred courage, the drive to seek truth even when it leads to pain. In this sense, she is a mythic ancestor of all seekers of knowledge, from philosophers to scientists, from poets to explorers.
Parallels across cultures. The myth of Pandora finds echoes in nearly every civilization. In the Judeo-Christian tradition, Eve's act of tasting the forbidden fruit parallels Pandora's opening of the jar. Both women, motivated by curiosity, disobey divine command and bring knowledge and suffering to humanity. Yet both also initiate the journey toward redemption. Without Eve, there would be no humanity's fall and no possibility of salvation. Without Pandora, there would be no suffering and no hope. In Sumerian mythology, the goddess Inanna descends into the underworld to seek wisdom and returns transformed, bringing both fertility and mortality to the world. In Norse myth, the goddess Freya embodies love and sorrow, passion and loss, much like Pandora. Even in Buddhist philosophy, the idea that suffering, dukkha, is inseparable from awareness resonates with the Greek understanding that knowledge brings pain. These parallels reveal that Pandora's myth expresses a universal truth, that every civilization in its own language has grappled with the paradox of enlightenment and loss. The pursuit of knowledge always carries a cost, and the awakening of consciousness always entails suffering. The symbol of the jar, containment and revelation. A crucial element of Pandora's myth lies in the symbol of the jar itself. In early Greek texts, Hesiod used the word pithos, a large clay vessel used to store wine, oil, or grain. The later mistranslation by Erasmus in the 16th century rendered it as box, a term that has endured ever since, yet the jar holds a richer symbolic meaning. The pithos was, in Greek culture, a symbol of both preservation and death. It stored life-giving resources, but it was also used as a funerary container for ashes. In that dual role lies its mythic significance. The jar of Pandora contains both the seeds of destruction and the essence of renewal. When she opens it, she does not merely unleash evil, she releases the energies of transformation, forces that would compel humanity to evolve. Thus, Pandora's jar is a metaphor for the human condition itself, the body as the vessel of the soul, the mind as the container of thought, the heart as the keeper of emotion. Within each of us lies a Pandora's box, filled with desires, fears, and hopes that shape our lives. To open it is to confront ourselves. The role of hope, elpis, and the ambiguity of salvation. Among all the elements of the myth, none is more debated than the presence of hope in the jar. Ancient scholars wondered why hope remained inside when all other evils escaped. Was hope withheld from humanity as another form of punishment, or was it deliberately preserved as a blessing? Some philosophers, like Friedrich Nietzsche, argued that hope is the cruelest of evils. It prolongs human suffering by preventing surrender. To him, Zeus allowed hope to remain so that mortals would continue to struggle, never escaping their misery. Others, however, such as the Stoics and later Christian thinkers, saw hope as the most divine of gifts, the flame that sustains moral courage in the face of despair.
In Greek art and poetry, Elpis was often impersonated as a young woman holding flowers, gentle and serene. She represented not blind optimism, but the capacity to endure. Poet Pindar wrote that hope is the dream of those who wake. To the Greeks, hope was not the denial of suffering, but its counterbalance, a sacred force that gave purpose to endurance. From a psychological perspective, hope in Pandora's myth symbolizes the resilience of the human spirit. Even when all external good seems lost, the inner capacity to believe in renewal remains. It is this inner hope that enables civilizations to rebuild after war, that drives explorers across unknown seas, and that keeps a single candle burning in the darkest of nights.
6. Artistic and literary interpretations. Through the centuries, artists and writers have reimagined Pandora in countless forms, each revealing new facets of her myth. In classical sculpture, she appears as a figure of perfect beauty, her expression poised between innocence and guilt. Painters of the Renaissance, such as Jean Cousin and Titian, portrayed her in luminous colors, holding the mysterious box as light and shadow play across her face, the visual embodiment of temptation and wonder. In literature, Pandora has inspired poets from Ovid to Goethe. In the 19th century, she became a symbol of forbidding knowledge and creative passion. Romantic writers saw in her the archetype of the artist, one who dares to open the unknown and release beauty and chaos into the world. In modern psychology, the term Pandora's box has entered common language as a metaphor for unforeseen consequences. The idea that one small act or discovery can unleash uncontrollable forces. Scientists use it to describe the ethical dilemmas of technology. Philosophers use it to discuss the nature of curiosity and moral responsibility. From genetic engineering to artificial intelligence, every new frontier of human innovation echoes Pandora's faithful act, the opening of the unknown. Thus, her story remains ever relevant, a timeless reminder that progress and peril are inseparable companions. 7. The moral and ethical dimension. At its heart, the myth of Pandora raises moral questions that transcend time. Was she to blame for opening the jar, or was she fulfilling her destiny? Was curiosity her flaw, or was it the very essence of humanity's greatness? The Greeks themselves were divided. To some, her act was a cautionary tale, a warning against defying divine law and succumbing to temptation. To others, it was a necessary awakening. In this tension lies the moral genius of the myth. It refuses to offer a simple answer. It acknowledges that every human act carries both good and evil, and that wisdom lies not in avoidance, but in understanding. In modern ethics, Pandora's myth speaks to the responsibility that accompanies knowledge. Every discovery, from fire to nuclear power, from medicine to artificial intelligence, opens a new box of possibilities. The question remains the same. Will what we unleash serve to uplift humanity or destroy it? The myth thus endures as a moral compass, urging humility and reflection in the face of power. 8. The psychological allegory. From a psychological viewpoint, Pandora represents the human psyche itself. The sealed jar symbolizes the unconscious, the hidden reservoir of desires, fears, and instincts within each person. Opening it corresponds to the process of self-discovery, the journey into one's inner darkness. Carl Jung, in his study of myth and archetype, might have seen Pandora as the anima, the feminine aspect of the human soul that bridges the conscious and unconscious mind. Her curiosity symbolizes the quest for wholeness, the need to uncover what lies buried within the soul. The evil she releases correspond to the repressed emotions that emerge when the soul is confronted with its own truth. Yet, as hope remains within the jar, the soul retains an inner light that guides healing and transformation. Thus, Pandora's myth can be seen as an early allegory for psychological awakening, the painful yet necessary process through which humans achieve self-knowledge.
9. Pandora in the modern world. Today, the phrase Pandora's box resonates more powerfully than ever. It describes everything from ecological disaster to digital technology, from genetic manipulation to artificial intelligence. Each innovation holds the potential for both progress and catastrophe. Like Pandora, humanity stands before a sealed jar of infinite possibilities, uncertain of what will emerge once it is opened. Yet, the myth also offers guidance. It reminds us that knowledge is not evil, but it demands responsibility. Curiosity is not sin, but it must be balanced with wisdom. Every act of discovery must be tempered by empathy and foresight, the very virtues that Prometheus lacked and that Pandora learned through sorrow. In a symbolic sense, modern civilization has become Pandora herself. Beautiful, intelligent, creative, but also reckless and curious. We have opened countless jars in our pursuit of progress, and each has released both miracles and monsters. Yet, amid the chaos, hope endures. The hope that humanity will use its gifts to heal rather than destroy, to enlighten rather than enslave. 10. The eternal meaning of Pandora. Ultimately, the myth of Pandora is not about punishment, but about possibility. It teaches that suffering, far from being meaningless, is the crucible in which human virtue is forged. Through pain, we learn compassion. Through loss, we discover value. Through error, we gain wisdom. Pandora's act, though tragic, initiated the evolution of the human spirit. In theological terms, her story represents the paradox of divine justice, that even in wrath, the gods leave a path to redemption. In philosophical terms, it reveals the dialectic of existence, that every light casts a shadow, and every shadow defines the light. And in human terms, it speaks to the enduring truth that life, with all its sorrows, is still precious because within it glimmers hope. Conclusion: the flame that never dies. As the centuries passed, the image of Pandora transformed from the bringer of doom to the symbol of endurance. Artists, philosophers, and storytellers have reimagined her not as a villain, but as a mirror of humanity's own heart, curious, flawed, and forever striving toward the divine. If Prometheus gave mankind the fire of knowledge, Pandora gave them the fire of emotion, the capacity to feel joy, pain, love, and longing. The two myths together define the essence of humanity: intellect and emotion, reason and desire, light and darkness. The jar she opened remains open still. From it continue to flow the evils and blessings of existence, war and peace, despair and faith, sorrow and beauty. Yet through it all, hope remains, glowing softly at the bottom of the human soul. It is that hope, fragile but immortal, that ensures that no matter how deep our suffering, we will always rise again. Thus ends the eternal story of Pandora, not as a tale of divine cruelty, but as a hymn to human resilience. Her name, once synonymous with curse, now stands as a symbol of awakening. For in opening the box, she opened the world itself, a world forever touched by pain, yet illuminated by the undying light of hope.